Welcome to the Polygamer podcast, where gaming is for everyone. Join us as we expand the boundaries of the gaming community.
Hello and welcome to the Polygamer podcast, episode number 63 for Wednesday, April 12th, 2017. I'm your host, Ken Gagne. It has been just about 1 month since PAX East 2017, the 8th annual Penny Arcade Expo to descend upon Boston, Massachusetts, my hometown. I was delighted to once again attend, but it nearly wasn't so. Back before they even announced the dates for PAX East 2017, I had made travel plans that would have me out of town for that Friday and Saturday of the 3-day event. Fortunately, I was back in town for Sunday, and although I didn't have much time to spend attending panels or visiting the show floor, I did have time to moderate 2 wonderful panels with an amazing cast. The panel you'll be hearing today was hosted on Sunday, March 12th, 4 to 5 o'clock in the Bobcat Theater. The title was +1 to Journalism, Becoming a Better Writer. This was my second year in a row doing a panel on the art and craft and business of being a journalist, reporter, reviewer, or critic in the games industry. You heard last year's panel way back on Polygamer episode number 45, which among others featured the voice talent of Polygamer alumna Susan Arendt. She joined me again for this year's panel, as well as Jonathan Holmes, who was on the Polygamer podcast just last month, and also Alexander Sliwinski, with whom Susan used to work at joystick.com. Here's the official description of the panel on which we collaborated. What do you need to know to make it as a games journalist? What pitches do editors love to get, and what tropes have been done to death? Whether you're helping consumers make informed purchasing decisions, unearthing the history of a franchise, or critiquing video games as art, you have to convey a lot of meaning in just a few words before the reader clicks away. Come hear veteran writers and editors share the best in games journalism, and our own mistakes we've made along the way. I was delighted to present this panel to the PAX East audience, and honored to have this cast on stage with me. I've known Susan for years, and somehow she isn't sick of me yet. I met Jonathan just recently, and he owed me no favors. And Alexander, I'd never met before. He certainly didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And so today you'll be hearing the audio from that panel, recorded using a Zoom H4n Pro microphone plugged directly into the PAX East soundboard. My thanks to the volunteer enforcers who made that connection possible. And also my thanks to my friend TJ, with whom I recently did a Let's Play of Super Mario Bros. 3. He created the promotional media for this panel, which could be seen on social media before the event and on screen during the event. There was unfortunately no video from this panel, and my other panel that I moderated earlier that day, called Life After Graduation, may or may not be airing on a future episode of Polygamer. Depends on what permissions we can get. In the meantime, if you want to be a better writer, which I highly recommend, stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to +1 to Journalism, Becoming a Better Writer. Thank you for coming. Yay for you. Oh, what a wonderful weekend it's been. I appreciate you choosing to conclude another fantastic PAX East with us. I appreciate your interest in joining the opposition party, journalism. We have this panel today to discuss how to become a better writer, because there are many aspects of writing and publishing that are fun, some that are challenging, and the foundation for all of that is being able to string words into sentences, sentences into paragraphs, paragraphs into stories, and being able to tell those stories in a written medium. There are a lot of industries that require writing, but few of them have the peculiarities of gaming. And so I've recruited a panel of some of the best and most accomplished writers and editors in the industry to discuss the craft of writing. We're not speaking exclusively about, for example, pitching stories, if you want to be a freelance writer, because that is a topic deserving of its own panel, and a panel that some of us have actually done. It may come up, though, but we're going to be talking specifically about writing. And joining me today to be on this panel is Susan Arendt, executive editor of Games Radar.
Hey.
Formerly of Joystick, formerly of Escapist. Do you have any other new writing assignments you want to share?
Me? Oh, what, the poop bag thing?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so as a side gig, just for fun, I'm going to begin reviewing pet products, and my first assignment is doing poop bags. I am legitimately excited about this.
I am legitimately excited about this as well.
Yeah.
So all the pitches that you don't like, you just throw in the poop bag.
Exactly.
Wonderful.
How well does this hold this shitty pitch?
This is an uncensored podcast for those with young children in the audience. Also, you are the co-founder of Take This.
I am,
yes. Which is what now?
Take This is a mental health charity specifically geared towards our community, although it's open to everybody, obviously, but we try to focus on gaming and the nerd folk. We run the AFK room here at PAX. If you have partaken of that at all, you can find more information about us at takethis.org.
Great. Thank you, Susan. And sitting to your right, the audience's left, is the COO of Bithell Games, Alexander Sliwinski.
Hi, everyone. So a cautionary tale now.
So COOs, they don't write. What are you doing up here?
I used to be the news director at a site called Joystick, which is no longer with us. I went to school, got my master's, and now I handle operations for a video game company. But I have extensive experience covering this industry and dealing with all its special.
Well, also surprisingly, a lot of the skills you developed as a journalist translate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, big time.
Uh-huh.
You said you just got your master's. Is that in journalism?
No. Got my MBA.
Excellent.
So, yeah, no.
It's a profit deal
Business.
degree he got.
Business.
Yeah.
Numbers.
And more business. Wonderful. And last but not least, we have Mr. Jonathan Holmes, writer for Destructoid and Nintendo Force. Hi, Jonathan.
Everybody. Hi.
And not just writer, but former editor-in-chief of Destructoid?
Yes, I was. That was a lot of work. That was basically having a baby. And then my wife was pregnant with a human baby. So I had to choose, which baby am I going to take care of? So I stepped down from editor-in-chief to take care of my actual flesh and blood. But it was hard because I really loved the site. I've been there for, we were playing Smash Brothers Brawl around when I first started. I think that had just come out. So, for a long time, I still write there out of affection for the site and for love of the work. And I also work for a print magazine called Nintendo Force, which is growing in circulation. We're getting more readers every day. So yeah.
And let's not forget a profound waste of time.
Oh, right. And I'm also working on the first issue of a zine, which is mostly video game developers, but various folks. That was something falling off my knee. Sorry about that. Where the idea is to really get into the depths of the emotional process of making games. I asked Mike to be on it. He's busy. But later, Mike Bithell, who works with Alexander. So we have Rami Ismail and Dennis from Denaton, who worked on Hotline Miami, Ojiro, who worked on Downwell. A lot of indie game devs writing about their process there, so it should be fun.
Excellent, thank you.
Also, just no joke, that's part of the reason I don't have kids, is because I'd either have to do my job or be a mom. Yeah, so.
and the mentality is very much the same in terms of when you walk away from it, you don't know what happens. And then when you come back later, you're like, oh my God, how am I going to fix this?
Why are you on drugs now?
Yeah, exactly right.
And finally, I'm Ken Gagne. I am a former editor at Computer World magazine. They were the same company that did Macworld and PC World and GamePro back when that was the thing. I'm still a freelance writer for them and for other outlets. I host the podcasts IndieCider and Polygamer, which are speaking up for underdogs in the gaming industry. And I'm sure there's something else I do. Oh, I have a YouTube channel, so I unbox stuff like the Switch, which is cool, I guess, because unboxing is hip. And
I don't get it. I'm not going to lie.
Hey, I did not lick Zelda the cartridge.
Good. That's dumb, okay? Stop it. Just stop it. The first person who did it, I get it. Haha. No, stop it.
This is journalism, Susan.
But think of the traffic.
I know. It's all about the clicks. All about the page views.
I don't look. I don't want to do SEO for the licking Zelda.
Oh, I see where I see where this panel is going now. Okay, no.
I'm not sure you could see from there, but she's literally quivering with rage.
But as you should. It does speak to a larger thing, though, doesn't it? What in the past 8 years, how have things changed to become top stories is how do video games taste?
Yep.
How does this video game feel in your butt? That was one. A colleague of mine actually wrote that article. I'm not kidding.
I know. Oh,
you
I'm
may
aware.
have seen it around.
You're going to have to send me the link later.
It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it's certainly changed.
Right, and these kinds of articles are super popular. Video is super popular. I mean, PewDiePie is one of the most well-known voices in gaming media, I suppose you could call it. And YouTube is very eye-catching. It's very easy to monetize, and yet here we all are putting pen to paper, metaphorically, and still writing articles, which is, the original medium of the internet is text, for those of you who remember dial-up modems. But,
Bang, bang, bang.
Mom, don't pick up the phone. I was halfway downloading that file from CompuServe. Damn it. Anyway, so why...
Okay, hands up everybody who got that joke. You're old.
Yeah. Good for you.
So how come we are still writing? How come writing is the medium we have chosen to participate? Awesome Street Fighter cosplay walking in right now. Well done.
Yeah.
How come we have chosen to stick with that classic craft of writing and not evolve into, podcasting or video? How come we still take the time to write? Susan?
You mean like me personally? We as a species?
You personally, how come this is the craft you have devoted yourself to?
I love language. I love what language can do to communicate a thought, to share an idea, to touch people, to change their emotion, to make them laugh, to give them a different perspective of how to see something. We absorb information in different ways, right? Like cognitively, I'm going to use big words. Cognitively, you process information perhaps differently than I do, right? Some people are more visual, some people are more language-based. For me, what really resonates and the way I am most effective in communicating thoughts and ideas and getting to your gooey center is through words. So that's why I do what I do, and that's why I will always gravitate towards the manipulation of language.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Alexander?
Speaking of manipulation, I would go with access and networking because the written word allows you greater access to the legitimately powerful people in this industry, to talk to them directly, to have conversations with them directly. When you're doing video, whoo boy, like the PR hoops you have to jump through and the lack of access that you'll have because there is a concern, and then it's just you can't do that from 3,000 miles away. So I would say writing allows you a greater level of access to the legitimately powerful people in this industry and getting those quotes. Also,
you can skim a piece of text. You can't skim a video. You can't skim a podcast. I mean, you can like skip through it, but it's not. You're not going to get the thought. You can hit the first in something well written. You can hit the first sentence of every paragraph and come away with a basic idea of what's going on, right? So if it's be that a cover letter or a news story or whatever, you can put less effort into consuming it and still come away with the thought. Whereas a walkthrough, right? Walkthrough videos are great because it shows you exactly what you need to do to find the goddamn heart piece or whatever. But you don't know, you have to watch the whole freaking half hour for that 5 seconds that you need, whereas opposed to text, good.
And I would say, like a written interview, like if you know the structure of things, like the third paragraph is going to be a quote, the seventh paragraph is going to be a quote, and all the rest of it is the tone of the conversation, is the thesis of what was being discussed. Whereas with video, that editing process is a lot more complicated if you can even get the shots in the first place, and then you need the B-roll to layer it all in, and you need to...
Y'all know what B-roll is?
It's basically just footage that you shoot that plays in the background as you're talking. So like on a news channel, it might be people walking along the street as they're talking about potholes or whatever.
Falling into potholes.
Right.
Living in potholes.
Still, you're so professional. You knew the whole interview structure, the third. I didn't.
He's hardcore, man.
He's really a journalizer.
Yeah.
He's in the journal hard.
Yeah.
He's been there for a while, too.
I mean, that's the thing, is there's a...
You were at a newspaper way back when,
I
right?
was at a newspaper.
I remember hearing that story.
And they're all gone now.
I know.
In the before time.
In the before times. Yeah, no, it is definitely it is definitely interesting, and we'll get into this later on because I have the list of questions in front of me. But yeah, I think there is opportunity in doing legitimate work that isn't just playing and screaming into a television and doing the best you can to get attention. But
now, Alexander and I first met when I first started at Destructoid, and he made me feel terrible about myself. He didn't mean to.
He does
but
that.
He is so, like, he is a journalist, and I am a blogger. Like, I think it's a quote from a movie starring Elliot Gould, where he sasses Jude Law. Do you guys know this movie, this famous Elliot Gould, Jude Law movie? I didn't think so. So Jude Law comes up to Elliot Gould, and he's like, I'm a blogger. You got to tell me all the facts. And he's like, a blogger? A blogger is graffiti with punctuation. You don't have any skills. You don't, and I don't know
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it is good. I saved that one for this panel. So I started when blogging was like, okay. You didn't need to be a journalist. You didn't need to have worked for a newspaper. And Joystick, what I loved about Joystick, and I'm still like, I'm angry about what it means that Joystick closed when, like, I love Destructoid. I work for Destructoid, but Joystick closed before Destructoid? Mm-hmm. What? Did you think that at any point, Alexander? It might have crossed your mind. You're too polite. You're such a good guy.
No,
anyway.
Well, it's weird because for me, Destructoid, the first time I came across Destructoid was like E3 2004 or 2005, where like we were in the opening E3 ceremony. And I forget who the guy was in charge of E3 before the person in charge now. But there's this dude sitting in front of me with like this helmet on.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and it was just completely different than like anything you'd seen before. And it's just like, who is this dude and what is he doing? And then of course, the story comes out that it's like, the whole reason Destructoid even exists is because they wanted to attend E3, so they made a fake website that ended up becoming a real website.
I mean, I was also on a reality show when I was young that kind of was part of ruining MTV.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I know. I don't talk about it a lot.
He was on Road Rules.
Yeah,
Shut up!
Yeah, forever. No. Yeah. It was like literally...
Wait, which season? Which season?
Season 5. It was like a lifetime ago. But that was like the end of
MTV. He had a fro out to here.
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's all true. I wasn't planning on talking about it today, but it's just coming to me now that I was part of a show that like made MTV no longer about content and like artistry, and it was just reality shows after that, like forever. It's like, sorry, I kind of ruined MTV. And maybe I ruined like video game journalism too. Because Destructoid was like, it's about personality, it's about attitude, it's about, there's not as much of a professional standard and more of a everyman standard.
Honestly, this is such a deeper conversation.
And it's not helping these guys, honestly.
Yeah. and we could go into advertising and everything like that.
Sure.
But that's more what, it's the perception of where people consume their content and how they consume their content that caused all of that.
Right. Oh, okay. So I didn't do it.
No, you didn't do it. You're okay.
Okay, you kind of did it.
I'm off the...
Jonathan, could Susan get your autograph?
Oh, of course.
Look, I used to love Road Rules, man. It was fun.
Yeah, thanks. It was. So
actually, I'm the one who ruined MTV because I watched your freaking show.
Yeah, I just showed up on it. It's not my fault. Yeah.
So there are a lot of different reasons to stick with the written medium, and there are a lot of different formats in which we can use that medium. There are feature stories, there's profiles, interviews, slideshows are very popular online because they get the clicks. And I hear some grunting there. As a freelancer, I love writing slideshows, but...
Of course you do, because you get the same amount of money that, like, actual work takes.
That is absolutely correct. I get paid the same as if I'd written a feature story, except instead I picked a picture and wrote a caption for it. And the money rolls in. I love it. So what... So that's my perspective as a writer, but are there formats that each of you like to write? Or edit? Or do you have preferred or hated formats, Susan? Either to write or edit.
I love writing reviews. Love writing reviews. I love getting to tell people about a game they might not otherwise pay attention to and explain to them why they should. That is awesome. That is why I got into this in the first place. It's fun, and now I do it with TV shows. You should be watching The Expanse. If you're not, you're dumb. Yeah. Laura, yeah. I hate slideshows with a passion that burns deep inside.
Flames.
Flames on the sides of my face.
It's from the movie Clue. It's good. It's a good
Here's
movie.
the thing, like, the audience, here's why I hate slideshows. First of all, it is possible to do them well and to do them in a considered, intelligent way where you can have callbacks to jokes that it only works in a slideshow format. That's really, really cool. The problem is we all know why slideshows exist. It is to get clicks because page views is a metric that is used in this industry to indicate quality, which is complete bullshit, but okay. And so you get a lot of stuff that could be a feature, probably should be a feature, but no, we're going to make it a slideshow so we can inflate our numbers for the month, and that just hurts my soul a lot. One thing I really hate, and I would advise all of you to not do this ever if you can avoid it, is a Q&A that is laid out like a Q&A. Q&A. That is, you rolled up, you asked some questions, you hit record, and you transcribed. That's not writing, okay? Like, use the information pulled from the interview and tell me a story. Give me a narrative. Give me a thing to care about and then back that up. What are you doing?
The best part of that was, so in like 2003, 2004, the Europeans, that's what they would do. Like Eurogamer, like everything like that, would do just pure Q&A, just everything. And most of the time these things is just like sending a list of questions, send them to the person so that it can be approved by PR, and then they give you the answers. Then what I would do is I would take their story, find the most interesting part about it, which was like question 12 or something like that, turn that into a story, and I would get all of their traffic and attention. So thanks for doing the Q&A and basically doing all that like, weird, not so much work, and then giving the story to someone else. So yeah, that was... Q&A is like...
But I know people who prefer Q&A because they say it's the only way to be sure of what the person actually said without taking it out of context.
That's a lie.
If you're bad at your job, yeah. No, that is bullshit. Sorry, but that's a lie.
I concur. I prefer the well-written feature that offers context and perspective and focuses on the key quotes. I prefer that.
Well, the well-written feature, is the thing that is most in danger right now in terms of because it is not high traffic. If I were to say where the best well-written features right now, that is a YouTube situation. That is where YouTube can actually shine. Some of my the YouTubers that I actually watch are not the Let's Players or anyone like that. It's the ones doing Mark Brown and Game Maker's Toolkit, Super Bunny Hop. There are folks doing feature content, and that's where the best feature writing is.
We are Chicago.
Right. That video content is really where the features writing is right now. So
So is that your favorite format to write?
No, my favorite format to write is breaking news.
Breaking news.
So that's the place where you can absolutely shine as a writer. And that goes back to that whole entire access and networking thing. Because breaking news absolutely requires being able to... But access and networking and breaking news go hand in hand together, because when something happens, you have to know the people to contact and get the quote from them and get the information from them. And the folks that actually have that ability, that know the right people to call and how to get in touch with them, is so small that you absolutely have the ability to create a career out of news. As long as someone is willing to pay for that.
But I find breaking news to be super stressful because you're always on deadline. It's a very short deadline.
Hi, yes, it is super stressful.
But I mean, especially compared to the features you were just describing, where a good editor will, if they can afford to, will give you the time to go in depth and research a subject. A news story has to be done in the next hour sometimes.
Right, so don't screw it up. Honestly, that's what breaking news is. It is understanding all the players and how everything fits together. And this goes back to the whole entire having a child and like doing news, I don't know if those things can work together.
Well, it's like I think doing breaking news is like driving a motorcycle really fast, and a lot of people are really anxious, love driving a motorcycle really fast because they get to be in control of something scary for a change. And when they feel like they've mastered it, that fear gets to go away for a while and turns into excitement. It's like, how fast can I go next time? And I know you've been like that with a breaking.
Oh no, like I mean, transitioning from like media to development, like no, I mean it's a drug. Like like if you understand breaking news and how it works and the cycle, like I'm sure it is the same thing for like a content creator, a YouTube person that has to do something every single day because that beast always needs to be fed. And then once you get off that treadmill, you don't know what to do with
Sometimes
yourself.
I feel like the end of Goodfellas when he's like, no, I'm just an everyday schnook or something like that because he used to live this.
Yeah, no, for me it's the withdrawal scene in Trainspotting.
I
see babies on the ceiling all the time. Like I'm freaking out constantly because
have you ever watched The Newsroom? The HBO show, The Newsroom? Yeah. The parallels are remarkable for a game press or a press conference from like Microsoft, and as we're all like in the chat room and doling out stories, and get that point, write that up. We need to break out of that. I need art of this, and it just goes around. It's very, very similar.
Jonathan, your favorite and least favorite?
Oh, sure, for format. I hate writing reviews for games I don't like because then I'm thinking about what do I know? I'm going to like maybe hurt somebody's career because I didn't like their video game. Is that really worth it? But the readers need to know what I think. That's what I get paid to do. How can I put this in a way that's going to be useful for the reader and the developer who I know is going to be like reading it and maybe crying? I don't do as many reviews these days. And I tend to do reviews for games that I'm already interested in, so I'm going to like, because they're hard work too. And that time could be better spent on interviews, which I actually really enjoy. I didn't do a Q&A style interview. I did a long form interview with a guy named Yoshiro Kimura, which is probably my favorite thing I did recently for Destructoid. He worked on No More Heroes and Rule of Rose and...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and like no one knows who he is.
Nice.
Yeah, but if you want to interview him, he'd love it.
Oh, cool.
Does everyone here know what Rule of Rose was?
Yeah, is
a rat tied to a stick being put into a prepubescent girl's face.
Yeah,
It
was. So Resident Evil got big, and Sony was like, but can we do something like really scary instead of jump scares? How about like teenage girls? They're scary, right? So they hired this guy, Yoshiro Komuro, who did all the cutscenes for it, to make a really psychological horror game that ended up getting banned in parts of Europe because it was too close to home for a lot of things at them. So amazing career there. I got to write about it, I think, like 1,000 views maybe at first, and then it built, but like I was like, nobody cares. I wrote about PewDiePie. 10,000 views, 50,000 views in like the first 4 hours. So it's like you're saying, the place for this kind of real communication between you and a developer, or real communication about how you felt about what a game gave you. It's hard to see exactly where that is right now. Where's the home for that? It's part of why I like writing for a print magazine, because I know everyone who buys that magazine, they're going to feel like they didn't get their money's worth unless they read every word, even if it's something they didn't know they were already interested in. Like, if you're not already interested in it, in the blog space, it's really hard to summon up attention for something these days.
Now, I have a question about reviews, because it's an easy format to get started with as a writer. Not everybody has news connections, not everybody knows how to write a feature, but everybody has an opinion about a game that they play.
That they do.
And it's how I got started. My first published review was in '94, and I eventually worked my way up to a weekly contract over 6 years, from the end of the Super Nintendo to the beginning of the PS2. I wrote a review a week, so 300 reviews in 6 years. And it became very formulaic. A paragraph about the story, a paragraph about the graphics, the sound, the control, and then a concluding paragraph with some sort of witty play on words about the game's title. And I could just do it in my sleep every week, and became very rote and boring until I hated it and myself. So why do you love reviews, Susan?
Okay, so reviews are your chance to talk directly to the audience like you would talk to your friend, right? And it is a way for me to tell you, this is the experience of the game. Because here, like, I don't want you to waste your time or your money on something that is not going to make you happy. Because games make your life better, right? I'm not saying that it has to be fun. I'm not saying it has to, like, right. It just needs to make your life better. You need to come away from that and be like, yes. That was time well spent. And I want to help you do that. And there is a game out there for everybody. And I don't care what format you like playing on. I don't care what your budget is. Whatever. I can find a game that will make you happy. And I want to do that. Because my ability to make this world a better place is kind of small. Because I'm not a heart surgeon or a rocket scientist. I'm not going to be able to put us on another planet and away from this fucking president who's destroying our world. But what I can do is help point you at a game that will make your life better for a little while. So that's why I like writing reviews.
Do you review bad games?
Oh, of course.
But how does that make somebody's life better?
Because then they don't play that. They don't spend $60 on the game with the shitty camera, and that's all over in 2 hours, right? Like X-Men Destiny, okay? X-Men Destiny had an amazing premise, which is you are a brand new mutant. You've just come into your powers. Throughout the game, you find DNA from other mutants, and you blend their powers to yours. So you're like a blank slate in the beginning, and then you take a little bit from Iceman, and a little bit from the White Queen, and a little bit from Wolverine, right? That sounds awesome. That game is garbage. It is what garbage calls garbage. It's so bad. And worse, it's only like 4 hours long. And it was $60. This is a crime.
But if you review that game and tell people not to spend their money on it, and there are 100 games to choose from, they still have 99 other games to choose from. One good review will rule out the other 99.
Yeah, but not everybody like... Okay, so here's the thing. Like, okay, I can tell you, go play Persona 5. Oh my God, trust me. Go play Persona 5. But not everybody is going to like Persona 5 because it's not everybody's jam, right? So yeah, that one good review can tell people, go play this game, it's amazing. But if I like shooters and not JRPGs, that doesn't help me, even though I'm reviewing a good game. So you have to have a breadth of work. It's kind of easy to pick out all the good games, honestly. So I'm just one person, man.
I think, Susan, that you do, just like games make people's lives better, your reviews do as well. Like how many people out there just got happy hearing about Susan write about an 8-year-old X-Men game that like we all forgot about. We all did. So to be able to share who you are and the relationship you have with a game makes you feel less alone for a second. It makes you feel less alone with the thoughts in your head, which sometimes suck for a second, and to feel better. I think that you're creating content just by talking about what you like, which is a wonderful thing.
Thanks, man.
No problem. It's
awesome.
true.
So we are not only writers up here, we're also editors, and there is an editing process even when you are editing your own stuff. I'd like to know what is your workflow? How do you get from that first draft to the final draft? Do you outline to start with? I know some people who outline everything. I mean, and that's a skill we learn in elementary school, and it can be quite useful at any age. So let's start at the opposite end. Jonathan.
Oh, sure. Starting is always the hardest part, so to just force yourself to start writing anything is really important for me. And then I become so critical of what I wrote almost immediately after I wrote it, then I'm mad at myself and I'm motivated by anger to fix everything I just messed up on. So for me, I just lay out everything first, then do a proofread, then take 20 minutes away from it, read it again. But it's like game development because I break what I wrote at the beginning a lot of the time when I fix the end and vice versa because they're all connected. So you have to like change everything after you change something at the end sometimes. I don't outline too much because I find that I'll end up losing out on some potential inspiration and eureka moments, like when you were talking, Ken, about how rote and formulaic your reviews were before. But that was the way it got done. I try to approach a review as a explanation of a relationship I had with a thing that was I give to the game and it gives back. And my review scores in my mind are like when you do a romance test meter, it's like 10 out of 10, perfect match. So in writing about it, you end up having a relationship with what you're writing too, and things will bounce up that you wouldn't have expected to see if you had planned out your outline and I have to write this part now. So I try to freestyle it a little bit more, but that involves a lot more editing. So you make more work for yourself when you defy a formula, but there's a lot more potential for surprises and happy accidents too.
My thing was usually finish the article and then read it over and think of what the first 5 comments on the article are going to be, and then answer those things in the copy before the piece goes live.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Because in most cases, especially, during Joystick, an article would automatically have 120 plus comments. So after years of doing that, you got really, really good, practically like prescient at like being able to guess like what the first 5 comments on every story were going to be, and then you could incorporate that into the piece.
Oh, that's a great idea. That's using feedback constructively.
Preemptively, too.
Yeah, and they always say, don't read the comments.
Well, it also helps steer the conversation, because if you know what they're going to say and you can answer it ahead, answer it ahead of time, it prevents the automatic attack mode.
Yep. You want to, when you're editing something, you want to make sure they're having the right argument about whatever it is you've written, right? They're having the right discussion. I don't know if you know this about internet commenters.
What are we going to learn?
They will harp on this one tangential thing that you made in like a throwaway comment, and it'll be 50 things about that. And you're like, yeah, okay, I get it. I spelled that wrong, but we're talking about...
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of editing is the heading off of the wrong argument.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, even when I was writing for print media, the process was anticipate the reader's question.
Yep.
And you do that perhaps by having a second reader who consults with you before it goes to print. And when you do it online, you think about what the comments are going to be. And that I incorporate that into my YouTube videos. When I make a throwaway remark, I immediately think, how are they going to respond to that? And I add a caveat. Susan, I'm sorry, what was that? Are you done, Alexander?
No, I was... Yeah, no. It's fine.
Yes, no, he's done. Okay, Susan.
I am the worst.
You're the worst. That's why you're here.
I don't outline. I don't proofread. I don't do a second draft.
You don't proofread?
Nope.
What?
Here's the thing.
Because you just assume you got it right the first time.
No. Okay. I hate my writing so much. I despise every word I put on paper, and that but the funny thing is, I'll go back and I'll read something I wrote several years ago, and shit, that's really good. But when I'm in that moment, I'm like, this is garbage. I am a fraud. No one should read this. I'm a horrible human being. I should live in dirt. And so what I'll do is I'll throw it down, and then I need someone to look at it for me. The problem is, and this is a problem that once you achieve a certain level of ability, that happens to just about everybody, people stop editing you. They go, oh, they'll fix your typos. They'll copy edit you, right? They'll put in a comma, or they'll, fix your typos, but they won't say you haven't made your argument. They won't say your sentence structure's really, really choppy. They won't give you those kind of foundational things that you need, because you're already better than most people. And it's so frustrating for me, because I have had to tell the people I work with, no, please, could you just tear this into tiny pieces?
And if you ever need to see a real-world example of this, look at The Prisoner of Azkaban compared to The Goblet of Fire, where Prisoner of Azkaban comes out, the movie comes out, and suddenly there's no editor for J.K. Rowling anymore. She's just off to the races.
Which is why the books got so much bigger. Because they stopped telling her, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. No, there's no more editor involved whatsoever.
Yeah, that first Harry Potter book's that thick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Goblet of Fire.
Yeah. But I mean, the same, it's the Kojima thing too, right?
Bless.
Where, there's just no editor in the room anymore.
No.
I'm sorry, you were saying the Kojima thing?
Yeah, no, just Hideo Kojima. You just look at something like Metal Gear Solid 4, and there's no editor. There's no editor at all involved in that process anymore. But he's one of the few people who gets to pull something like that off. But
She breathes through her skin.
Yeah. Oh,
4 was the one where they were all writhing on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Sure.
5 was she breathes through his skin.
Look, just come out just be. I like boobs.
Yeah, I know.
Right? Don't with the breathing through the skin. I like titties, and I get to make a game, so titties.
Which still doesn't compare to Bionic Commando and the wife arm spoiler.
Jesus. Oh
yeah.
Which has to do with a producer and too much cocaine. And I'm sure you can find that story somewhere on the internet, but that's what it was.
So, editing. One of the dangers of self-publishing is that there is nobody looking at your work. And that's what, a lot of writers are moving to Patreon, which is a wonderful model. I support a lot of writers on Patreon. But when they are working for themselves and not for somebody else, they're not beholden to somebody else. When you read your own writing, you know what you're trying to say, and you're filling in the blanks, and you miss the gaps in your arguments.
But this is why I go back to the first 5 comments thing again.
Sure.
Because one of the things we absolutely have the ability to do now, whether it's like watch a YouTube video, right? And other than first, of course, like think about what
People still do first?
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, they do.
Stop it.
But
Also,
other than first, like take a guess at like what the first 5 comments on that like YouTube video are going to be. And do that for years, and then you'll be just as broken as I am, where like you're able to like nail it every single time.
Okay, but here's the flip side of that. The first 5, and this is what happens to a lot of folks when they go independent. Those first 5 comments, okay, there's first, and then there's the next 5, which is, you're awesome, you're so great, you're amazing. And they start believing that, and they don't have anyone telling them, that's actually not funny.
That is definitely the weird difference between the previous world and the world we live in now.
Yeah.
Is the people drinking their own Kool-Aid thing.
Sure.
Because there was, I mean, if you were doing journalism in the era pre, being YouTube famous, like, yeah, it was just systematic abuse. Like, that's what you could expect every single time you put an article up, was just like, I hate you, I hate everything that you like do, I don't understand why anyone writes this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, just to be clear, we still get that.
Oh, yeah, it's still, that's still a thing. But, like, yeah, I mean, on some level, YouTube did change that, where it's like, you do actually have people that like you, which I don't know what that feeling is like.
Oh, you.
Susan, I was surprised that you don't proofread, because I had a writer, I was his editor, he would pass in work to me. I was intent on pulling apart his argument and making sure he was saying what he had to say, and there was almost no punctuation, because he didn't have a grasp of the mechanics. And when I pointed this out to him, he said, that's not my job, Ken, you're the editor.
Oh, no, fuck you. No. If I give you a word limit, if I give you a 1,500 word limit, do not give me something 2,500 word and say, oh, well, I figured you'd cut it.
Yeah, those writers no longer work for me, at least, and probably not for anybody else. So,
but no, well, okay. I'm going to be a real jerk right now. I don't proofread because I don't have to. I have been in publishing since I was 19 years old. I can write well enough that you don't have to go in and fix my punctuation. I'm a human being, so yes, I will have typos and stuff like that. But for me, personally, proofreading my own work, because I know what I'm supposed to be saying, I know what that's supposed to say because I just wrote it, I will fill in things that aren't there. I won't catch that I've used the same word in 2 back-to-back sentences. I won't catch it because I'm not reading what's actually on the page. I'm reading what I think is on the page, which is why you really need to have someone who's completely divorced from it read it for you.
And I do have somebody read my stuff, but in addition, before I give it to them, I don't know if this is my workflow because I'm also a college professor, but I print out my writing and I go over it with a red pen.
No, you're just old.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But I see things in hard copy that I do not see on the screen.
I completely agree. I am also old. I mean, I use proofreader's marks, and I will. It also depends on how long something is. If it's a very long feature.
I printed something out last week and bought red pens, and I just got made fun of the entire trip because they're just like, why are you marking it with red pens? It's like, because that's what you do.
And it works.
And it works.
So there are certainly writers we don't want to work with and have worked with before and won't work with again, but rather than tear down their work, let's tear down our own. Is there something we have worked on that didn't fulfill our vision and didn't come out as well as we had hoped? Is there a feature like, oh man, if I could do that over again?
The printed word? What?
Huh?
The whole thing.
I said the printed word, the whole thing.
A lot of my reviews are, especially from when I first started, are terrible. They're terrible. They are that formulaic. Also, when I started and I did not know my voice yet, I borrowed other people's.
What does that mean?
That means, okay, so you know what I mean? What I mean when I say voice, writing voice? Yeah. I would, and this is what happens when people imitate those that they admire or who are successful, consciously or unconsciously. And so I was snarky, and I was that gamer, and that's what my reviews sounded like. And it's just, ew, that's not someone who loves games, right? That's someone who wants to look clever talking about games. And some of my old stuff is like that, and that's just...
Yeah, reading a joke from 5 years ago that I wrote is just the worst feeling.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought that was funny because I'm 5 years older now, and maybe that was funny then, but times have changed and whatnot. Yeah. I wrote about how I like it when you accidentally, or when it's actually not even an accident, it's just a fluke, a freak event when you fall down in Smash Brothers Brawl. I wrote about that. And I had no idea the genie I was letting out of a bottle.
Well,
I have read at least 3 articles about why I need to be put to death because I like this mechanic in Smash Brothers.
I don't get it. Explain that to me.
What's that?
I don't get it.
So this is knowing your audience. This Alexander would have been like, Jonathan.
The first 5 comments.
The first 4 comments on this introducing luck into a game that people love for the skill and for the fact that they have total control over their character. Smash Brothers Melee, if you played it, it's amazing how much control you have over every intricacy of the timing and the physics, and it's very fast. And I was like, I like it when you fall down sometimes. It's funny. That didn't go over well.
Did they think you were trolling them on purpose?
Some people assumed if you're that dumb, you must be doing it on purpose. I'm like, I'm not dumb. I just like falling down. It's funny. They're like, no, you must be. And it was maybe 2 weeks. It was one of our most read stories. I had no idea. I thought it was just a simple, here's another way of looking at Smash Brothers. It's not always about skills. Sometimes it's about goopy happenstance because it's a game where, bombs fall out of the sky. But of course, a lot of people won't play with items on. And anyway, so yeah.
Yeah, no, if you want to fast track a death threat being sent to your email box, use the word, I appreciate its accessibility, or, this will make it better for a mainstream audience, or anything that is inclusive in any way. And that's your quick death threat within 10 minutes of that going live.
I thought of one thing I wish I could change. It's the tiniest goddamn phrase I've ever written that got me the most trouble. So I reviewed Mass Effect 3.
So you wish the article had ended differently?
Ironically, yes. So, first of all, the ending didn't bother me. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it because...
But you're a bad person for thinking that.
Well, clearly. Right, but whatever you think of the ending, everything that came before it in the game is awesome. Shut your face, it is. It is a fantastic game, and the trilogy is fantastic. So, thinking that people are rational human beings... And that they could, that even if the last 10 minutes was disappointing, they would understand that everything that came before it was fantastic. I said it's the ending we deserve.
Oh.
People still come up to me for that one, and they're like, "You," like, "Oh my God, stop it!" But yeah, I would change that if I could.
Well, so
I would just phrase it differently.
I wanted to ask you guys about this. This is something I was thinking about coming into the panel. We've kind of touched upon it now. I feel like there's a big split in readership between people who are like, all I care about is your opinion, versus like, I want the world to be math and just give me facts.
Yes,
and do
yes.
every review to be a product review. And like, I feel like we've always been expected to kind of do both at the same time. And now people can get all their personality from YouTube. And guys that aren't even trying to be taken seriously as a journalist, it's like, I'm in my basement, and here's why I love Mass Effect 3. That guy wouldn't have been held to the same standards as you, Susan.
Yep.
People would have been mad at him, maybe, but they wouldn't have been like, a journalist is saying the wrong thing about a game, and therefore he's going to change the way the next game gets made. I get told all the time, like, I'm afraid you're going to make boobs smaller in a game someday, because you said, yeah, the boobs are flopping around. It looks kind of weird. They're like, you're going to make my big boobs go away. It's your fault, journalist. I'm like, I don't make video games. I don't think they care what I think, but if I was a YouTube guy, maybe it wouldn't have gone over as poorly. I don't know. But I feel like a lot of times I've been caught in the trap of some people want personality, some people just want facts, and to try to make both camps happy is really hard.
Yeah. So I have one last question before we open up to questions from the audience, which is, Susan, you were talking about imitating other people's voices, and yet we should be reading other people's work.
Absolutely, yes.
So who do you recommend we read, and how do we get inspired by them without imitating them?
I suggest you read everybody on GamesRadar.com. The end. No, honestly, who I recommend you read is everybody. But more importantly, what I recommend you read is stuff not in this space. Read travel articles, read about baseball, read about chickens, whatever, because it's important to know how stories are told, and different subject matter is handled differently by different people. And don't always, we tend to associate good writing with serious topics. And
Can I talk about the Strauss-Zelnick diaries right now?
yes.
So, totally serious. Yes, most of the writing I did was business stuff, but going to Susan's point, like, there was an entire article series that I wrote based on, like, using the Bridget Jones's diary format, which was actually the Strauss-Zelnick diaries, who is the CEO of Take-Two. So it's this
Who
publishes? Sorry,
First five comments.
Grand Theft Auto, XCOM, Civilization, 2K, and Rockstar, like all of those games. And yeah, it's basically an entire. All the information in there is legitimate and real, but it's written in a Bridget Jones's diary format. Because he was on the cover of Men's Health Fitness magazine with his six-pack and all this other stuff. So it was always about him keeping his weight and making sure that, like, everyone loved him and stuff like that. So yes, read a lot of stuff. Incorporate that into your writing.
One of my favorite articles I've ever read in my entire life, and I bring this up every year because I tweet it out every year. It's a 7-year-old article. It is about the appearance of Tila Tequila at the Juggalo Festival.
I have it all.
Wait, he has it. He has it. There it is. Yes. This article is amazing. It takes you on a journey. And but here's the thing, right? Like, juggalos are fucking ridiculous. But it is respectful of their passion. It is very much written from I'm gonna just stand here and watch what happens and tell you, because whoa. and it's such a wonderfully told story that these are things you would never care about. You do not care about Tila Tequila. You do not care about the Gathering of the Juggalos, I promise you. But this writer has written about this event in such an immensely engaging manner and it is a long read too. And you will make it to the end and be like, damn, I need to share this with people. So yeah, read everything you possibly can on as many different subjects as you can. Read serious things, read funny things, long things, short things, because they will all inform how you tell stories.
Yeah, fiction, nonfiction.
Fiction, nonfiction,
everything.
absolutely.
Yep. Any other quick recommendations before we open up to the floor? I would recommend, in addition to reading everything, let's see, where did I put it? Oh, I didn't. Oh, here it is. On Writing Well, which is a pretty basic book across all reading disciplines. I read it in school, but it is fantastic. And one of the first things he says is, writing is hard. And it's true. I mean, maybe some people have a talent for it, but everybody else, like us, has to work at it. And that is an important lesson right there. And he writes about all kinds of writing, and I highly recommend William Zinsser's book on Writing Well. Okay, so now we're going to open up to the floor. We're not going to have people line up. I'm going to go with my microphone here.
Fancy.
Is this on? Yes. So we have time for maybe one or two questions, and a question is an interrogative statement that ends in a question mark. No life stories. So I am going to run over here and give the microphone to this gentleman right here.
Oh, I already did.
Hello, guys. On a side, Susan, I'm a freelance writer. You have quite the reputation as one of the best editors and one of the scariest people on the planet.
Fact on both.
I have a question. I guess it's kind of, you've already started talking about it. Is there any one piece of games writing that you guys kind of go back to look at, like, yes, this is something I consider maybe my favorite, if not one of my favorite pieces of writing I've seen or written?
I still love the Versus Books strategy guide for Resident Evil 2. I can't explain why, but I still have it. I bought it in like 1996 or whatever when it came out. It's got really good jokes in it. It's got really good like long sentence, then short punchy sentence to like get you back into feeling something, and then like a lengthy explanation of kind of a boring game to talk about because it's basically going through hallways and avoiding zombies. But yeah, Resident Evil 2 Versus Books. It's in print. You can find it in stores.
I have been in the extremely fortunate position to have edited many writers, including Chuck Wendig, who wrote a few articles for me back when I was The Escapist. His writing is magic. It's just, I think I maybe put a comma in one of his sentences one time. Like, it's just so beautiful and so elegant and so perfect. So basically anything Chuck Wendig puts to paper.
Thank you.
Let's see. I am going all the way over there. Sorry.
I'm really not scary also. I want to put that out there.
You have a reputation.
I do. Well, you work
You're
for
both
me.
scary.
Yeah.
But in a way, just because I want to like be as good as you sometimes. So it's not like you're mean scary. It's like...
No.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
So you guys kind of mentioned this earlier, but people who are on YouTube and just regular writers in general, more and more often people are calling them journalists, and you will have people saying that they are journalists despite not actually writing like a journalist.
Not actually adhering to any kind of ethical code at all.
Yeah. So how are we supposed to combat that and set ourselves apart from the people who are just pretending or acting or claiming the title?
Do good work every day. Show up every day. Do good work. Hold yourself to a standard. Hold yourself to an ethical code. Show up, do the work. You will last. The people who are like, whatever, they won't.
Okay. Thank you.
It is a little bit like, the way I've seen it anyway, it reminds me of how there's like a new pop star every couple of years and then they're gone, whereas people who really love music tend to stick around as opposed to someone who just did it as kind of a half modeling job.
And going back to the thing that I mentioned earlier about, there being good features content, I'm still waiting for the good news person in the YouTube realm. That person, whoever figures out how to properly do news on YouTube will have a career after that. Like doing games news on YouTube will have a career after that point because they don't exist at this stage. And if they exist, they're still completely under the radar. But like I can name good features, like good YouTube features. I cannot name a good YouTube news person.
Okay. This will be the last question. We will be available outside after this panel, so make it a good one.
Oh, crap. Okay. I actually was an English teacher, and I just actually fell into a job as a full-time writer for a video game company, and I love the industry. I'm loving my company and everything that I'm doing, but I'm looking ahead to the future of what I can do, and I know that being a pure writer in video game industry is a very rare career, and it might not last. So journalism is something that I've always been interested in, but I don't really have a degree in it, and I don't really have a background as a professional journalism. What can I do right now so that I can open that pathway perhaps in the future? It's kind of my question.
So you're thinking writing for video games may not last? Because I know a lot of video game writers who are doing fantastic, and I know a lot of people who write about video games who are basically a drop in an ocean at this point, because anyone can just be like, I'm a blogger now, and hoping they're going to make it big. So whereas getting someone to pay you to write for a video game, congratulations.
If you're writing on a video game,
you nailed it.
There's more in the future.
Yeah, I wouldn't come over here. I would like to go over there.
Like take it as someone who's been on both sides of the fence on this one. Like, the journalism side of it is abusive and hard. Mm-hmm. Like, you leave that world, and you're like, anyone who's left behind, like, you don't want them to know that there's a world where, like, you can wake up and not get a death threat. Like, it's really bizarre. And like I said, there's a baby on the ceiling right now, like, crawling towards me. Like, I'm still addicted. Like, I still want to be in that world. But no, this is a much healthier existence that I have now.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And everybody who asked a question gets a Steam code. I have 2 left, and so I like Alexander, I'm giving them to Susan.
What's it for?
And Jonathan, and you get to corner them afterward and ask them a question, and they'll give you a Steam code. Yay.
Or not.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah, I'll give you the code. I won't keep it at all.
And so that is the end of this panel and the end of, to a degree, of PAX East. I'd like to end by going down the line. Remind us who you are and your Twitter handle, please.
Oh, sure. Jonathan Holmes. I'm at Tron Knotts, like the movie Tron, like the actor Don Knotts, Knotts on Twitter. Yeah. And I write for Destructoid.com. I did a bunch of pull quote interviews. It's just going to be pull quote and then like a couple of things. So, maybe people will read the whole thing from PAX East. So you can expect that next week. A lot of video game developer interviews on Destructoid. Nintendo Force print magazine comes out every other month. I got a review Shovel Knight for that and a couple of other things. So you can find that on Patreon. We're doing pretty well. And A Profound Waste of Time is a zine that's going to come out this summer that's got a glow-in-the-dark Shovel Knight cover. It's pretty cool.
Oh, neat.
Check it out. Yeah.
Thank you. Alexander.
I'm Alexander Sliwinski at Sliwinski. Please buy Thomas Was Alone, volume in Earth Shape. Thank you.
Susan?
I think you mean Buy Thomas Was Alone again.
Yeah.
Buy Thomas Was Alone for your toaster.
For your Apple Watch.
For your Apple Watch.
Your Apple II.
I'm Susan Arendt, at me. GamesRadar.com. I'm on Radio Radar every Friday. I review The Walking Dead. And The Expanse every week, and I write other stuff, too.
And I'm Ken Gagne. I'm on Twitter at Gamebits, and the audio of this panel will be available on the Polygamer podcast, available at polygamer.net. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of PAX.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been Polygamer, a Gamebits production. Find more episodes, read our blog, or send feedback at polygamer.net.